Okay, students, welcome to a short video where I will be discussing a question, Piper Industrials, specifically regarding to the topic WACC, weighted average cost of capital. My name is Willem Coetzee. I'm one of your lecturers. I'm more focused on the finance or the second part of the year. Today I would like to go through a question, Piper Industrials, especially looking at WACC, and maybe to see if I can help you with some basic principles and some exam technique that you can follow going forward for the rest of your studies. So today we're going to look at Piper Industrials. Okay, Piper Industrial is listed. We're just going to go through the question. Piper Industrials is listed. Very important to mark that. On the JSE, Piper is the leader in the field of industrial mining supplies and is at the forefront of innovative advancements. Piper business model includes showcasing and supplying the latest products at mining industries and industrial shows. Piper has showed interest in expanding into the solar power sector, which has been identified as a key focus area by the government. Okay, then they just talk about stock management system and regarding their staff or employees. Okay. Then we look at this part here. Okay, a summarized or an extract of the financial position. Okay, where we can see the shareholders' equity, non-current liabilities, preference shares, long-term debt, and there's a total equity and liabilities. And here we will see additional information. Okay. But part of this question is a possible expansion. We're not going to worry about that in this video. That is more related to NPV or a capital budgeting and investment decision question. Today, we are going to look at the following. Calculate the actual weighted average cost of capital of Piper Industries Limited based on current market values as at 31 December 2018. Now, this is very important and required when you look at WACC. We must tell you something like actual or current or market values. If we do not tell you that, then you can use the target capital structure ratio. Okay. If we do not tell you that, then you have to calculate the actual market values to get the actual capital structure. Very, very important. Usually the marks will be a guidance as well to see, okay, look, they do require some calculations. Otherwise, I can just take the cost times the capital structure ratio, which we have targeted and seen as our optimal capital structure. Okay, so very careful. Read the required, see if you see the word actual or current in there. Okay, so going back to our extraction, okay, we have equity. Okay, shareholders' equity consists of 500 million issued ordinary shares. These shares were originally issued at R2 per share and are currently trading at R6.86 per share. Shares are actively traded on the stock exchange, and Piper's cost of equity is 14%. Okay. Then our irredeemable preference shares were issued at R10 per share. Okay, if it's issued at R10 per share, okay, that means that it's that price in there. The current price of similar irredeemable preference shares is R12.50. Remember, it's not these shares. It is just similar. Okay, it's not these shares, similar. So another company, okay, with similar, let's say, characteristics of those investments for the holder of those shares will be trading at R12.50. The long-term debt relates to a loan obtained from SVB Bank on 1 January 2017 for 1.6 billion with 11.5% fixed interest rate. The term of the loan is 5 years and is repayable annually in arrears in 5 equal installments comprising of interest and capital. Similar, again, not this loan, similar market-related long-term debt can currently be raised at 12% per annum. The loan qualifies as an instrument for 24J for the income tax purposes. The current rate is 28%, okay, even though we know now that it's 27%. Okay. So when the first thing that I look at when we do a WACC question, I look for the actual or current, so that I know that I need to calculate actual market values and not just the target. Okay. And usually I would think for myself, why do I need this WACC? Is there free cash flow valuation coming? Is there an NPV cal coming? Is there a financing decision coming? Why do I need this WACC? Okay. Remember, there can be a big discussion question regarding WACC as well. Is it a measurement? Anything above that create shareholder value? Where is our optimal? There's all sorts of theories related to that. So, understand, why do I need this WACC? Okay. When we have to do an actual calculation, I first go and I prepare this little table. Okay. This little table is everything. You can see how we give the marks here. Okay, easy marks. Usually they would be, if there's a PVA mark for a layout of a question, we will look at how you prepare your answer. Start with this and reference nicely in the sense of reference calculation 1, calculation 2. You do not have to have this column. You can just maybe write there calculation 1. Okay. Now, a capital structure consists of equity and debt. Okay. For equity, it's very, very simple. Let me just go back first. We are looking at these columns here. We need the market value and the cost. Okay. This is what we need to calculate. Okay. We need the market value so that we can calculate the proportion or the allocation to the total capital structure. Okay. That's why we need this. Okay. So for equity, I need the market value. Okay. There's two ways in determining that. Okay. And then for the cost, there's two ways to determine that. Okay. For some questions, we will make this the calculation part and we will give you this, and vice versa. In this case, we gave you the cost of equity, so of 14%. Just be careful or familiarize yourself with the different kinds of wording that you might experience in that. In this case, we said shares are actively traded and the cost of equity. So we pretty much told you straight up that the cost of equity is 14%. We can also tell you the shareholders require a return of 14%, or in the past, shareholders trading require 14%, or the discount rate used for equity holders is 14%. Just you would see some different scenarios, wording, and how we give you the cost. But in this case, we gave you the cost. I quickly want to go to this cost. It can be determined in two ways. Okay, one I think you will probably be familiar with is a capital asset pricing module, or the CAPM model, where we tell you the cost of equity is something like cost of equity equals risk-free plus beta multiply risk premium. That risk premium is market risk minus risk-free rate. Okay, market rate minus risk-free rate. Okay, so just be careful. So you will see usually for a listed company where this information is available, the beta and everything, don't make the mistake on the risk premium. Remember, if we want to give you the risk premium, let's say that the market rate is 12% and the risk-free rate is 7%, then the risk-free rate is, the risk premium is 5%. So remember, when we give you the risk premium is 5%, it's already been deducted. Okay. Don't go and we give it 7%. Don't go 7 minus 5%. Okay. So that's one way of calculating the capital asset pricing module. Or you can use Gordon's dividends growth module. You see here, this is dividend 1 over price minus by growth. And sometimes you would need to calculate one of the two. We might need to calculate the dividend 1, okay, meaning it's the next year's dividend. Okay, be careful. A lot of students make the mistake of using D0. It's next year's dividend over price, and we might have to calculate the growth. So we will almost guide you in giving you the dividend history or the share price history going forward. This is more unlikely. It's that we need to ask you to calculate the cost of equity based on the dividend growth module instead of the capital asset pricing module. But just understand for this amount here, for the cost here, there's two ways in calculating this. For the market value, pretty simple. For the listed company, it's what it's currently trading at. Okay, it's R6.86 per share. Be careful. Sometimes students get lost get confused with their decimals. Share prices are given in cents. So it will be like 520 cents, okay, instead of R5.20. Okay, so just be careful in what do we give it to you in cents or do we give it to you in rand value? And then you just multiplied it by the issued shares, issued, not the authorized. Okay, not the authorized, to get this simple answer here. So 500 million times R6.86. Do that. Don't get confused with your decimals. We're working in billions here or millions here or whatever the case may be. You see, in this case, we clearly stated in millions. Okay, so 3.43 million, which relates to billions. Okay, so just be careful regarding that. For a listed company, it's simpler because that's what we say it's actively traded, okay, on the stock. For a private company, it might be a bit more tricky because you can't open a newspaper or open an app to see what is the price of the shares. Then we will usually give you something like a share transaction happened in the past, or you might have to calculate it using the dividend growth module here. Okay, you see, you can rework this. We might give you the cost of equity, but you have to rework it to get to the price. You can work out something like that. Or it might even be a mini valuation within a WACC question. Okay, so that's equity. So all you need to know is here, you need the market value. There's ways in determining that. We need the cost. There's two ways in determining that. Okay, then we go forward to the second and the third one is preference shares. Preference shares. Okay. Just be careful. Just remember what we're trying to calculate here. We're trying to calculate the market value. What is the market value of anything? Is discounting future. I'm going to pause there for a second. Future cash flows at the market-related rate. Okay. So future cash flows needs to be determined. Okay. In this case, it was pretty simple. For the preference shares, the word that gave it away here for me was, it is irredeemable, meaning we're never going to pay it back. Okay. It's like normal shares. You're never going to pay it back. If we had to redeem it, you'd say later on we were going to say, okay, well, I'm going to buy it back. I'll not buy it back. I'm going to redeem it at, let's say, 11 Rand per share in 20 years' time. Then you would have had to do the actual cash flow calculation to say dividends of 10 Rand, 10 Rand, let's say, for the next 5 years. That you had to pay, and you're going to pay it back at, let's say, 11 Rand a share times 500 for argument's sake. Okay. And based on that, you would get your cash flows and then you would determine the market value. In this case, it is actually a very simple calculation because it's irredeemable. It's irredeemable. They gave me the market value. Okay. What I told you while we were reading the scenarios, be careful, is that this is similar. Okay. So it's not ours. It's not Piper's preference shares. Similar. So we know that this 600 million is at 10 Rand because that is what we issued it at. Similar ones are issued at 12 Rand. Do you see? 12 Rand 50. So we need to determine the market value. So the market value is what is actively trading on the market. So for that one, we use 12 Rand 50, not the 10. But to determine how many shares it is, we have to divide the 600 million divided by 10 Rand per share, not 12 Rand 50, because this is what we issued it at. We've got 60 million shares multiplied by 12 Rand 50 is 7 Rand 50. Okay. Now the cost here. Okay. Quite interesting. We are paying 10% of that 600 million. So you can do it on a global basis. So we can say, let's say, meaning global, all of the shares together, there's 600. We pay 600 times 0.1. We pay 60. Okay. 60 million worth of dividends that we pay out. Okay. The market value is 750. So we can say 60 divided by that, and percentage-wise, it's 8%. So we pay 60 million as a cost, okay, as a cost of our capital providers of percent. You see, it's not 10% because we work it on the market value. Interesting. Or you can work it out on individual preference shares to say, okay, we pay 10 Rand. 10 Rand is a share times 10%, 1 Rand, and our share is 12.50 Rand. And we follow the same scenario, you still get 8%. You see, here's our cost. Okay. Okay. I would go look at a question where we do actually redeem the preference shares. This is just a scenario that I'm hypothetically made up here now. Okay. Where we actually redeem. Then you have to determine the future cash flows. Okay. To see what is the actual cost related to it. Okay. So we can get the cost. In this case, it was simple because we did not redeem it. The only trick here was that we do it on market value and not on book value. It's 8%. If we had to redeem it, we would have to calculate IRR here in this calculation based on all the cash flows we are having here. Okay. Okay, that's the only trick we have for that in terms of that. Okay. Then the loan. Okay. What I want you, there's a separate video on 24J where I discuss all of the different kinds of scenarios for a loan, you know, equal installments, bullet payment, interest only, capital only, all of them. Please go watch that video. I think it will give you a good understanding or starting point to understand the loans. What I want to do here with regards to the WACC part of it is I want to make you attend to the dates. You see here, this was issued in 1 January 2017. We are at 31 December 2018. So 2 years have passed. The whole of 2017, the whole of 2018, and the loan is for 5 years. What I've told you before, how do you calculate the market value of anything? You determine the future cash flows. So not the past, the future cash flows. So only year 3, 4, and 5 of the loan you need to determine. Okay. In this case, what we needed to calculate, they did not give us the payment. So we had to calculate the payment. Again, please be aware of this is what we are paying, and this is what other people are paying, not our loan. So be careful on different words could be the coupon rate. The coupon rate is 11.5%. That almost makes sense to me. That's what's on the actual document, 11.5%. I like to use the word agreed upon rate as well. That's the agreed upon rate. That's what the company and the bank has agreed upon. That's what we are paying. And we are going to use the market related rate to discount those cash flows. Okay, so in this case, pretty simple. Okay, we needed to calculate the payment. Okay, you use your financial calculator, 438.37. For me, the trick comes in here. You see, we use 11.5%, not the 12%, because this is what we are paying. So we need to calculate what we are paying, the actual cash flows, 11.5%. Now the trick comes in here. You see, only future. I do not do a whole new calculation for 5 years. 2 years have passed. So my future cash flows are these payments. And here's my tax shield that I get, at this case, 28%, based on the interest amort function that I use my calculator inputs. Just make sure you say amort, second function, 3, 4, and 5. We will be looking at the dates here, at the numbering 3, 4, and 5. You cannot use number 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, 5. You need to see 3, 4, and 5, meaning only future. Okay, and we discount it at what? Not the 11.5%. We discount it at the market related rate after tax. Market related rate. So all you need to be on the lookout for, go watch the video that I made regarding 24J and all the scenarios. In this case, we needed to calculate the payment. We calculated the payment based on our rate, the agreed upon rate. We only took in account future cash flows and we discounted it at market-related rate. Okay. And there you have it. Okay. There you have it. So here's our market-related market value, our future. So you see 1055. Currently we have it at 950. Okay. Because that is the book value. A market-related rate differs from this. Okay. Then the cost of the loan, you see that 8.64%, that is 12%. It's after tax. Remember, for a loan, we get a tax deduction, so it's after tax. Okay. Don't miss out on the easy marks, making sure that this adds up to 100 and that you have weighted these calcs. Easy, nice way to start to get 14 marks in an exam or in a test. That will get you loaded, and there's nothing tricky in here, especially now. The calculations, I think, is heading more towards 40% of a test. You need to get the calculations. It's really easy to do. Okay. I think it will be also good to refer to the learning unit to see what sort of other capital providers you can get here. Remember, we can trick you in here with an overdraft if it's not part of your permanent capital structure or not. Understand that, it's only long-term capital providers that's included in here, not suppliers. Highly unlikely that it would be suppliers if it's not part of your permanent capital structure. So understand that, and I would, while I'm doing this, in this case, it's sort of, I sort of knew what is coming. As we are, the next question of the required that we have here is to say, okay, advise doing a net present value investment appraisal. And for an NPV calc, I need my WACC. Okay, so why do I need my WACC? What does this WACC mean? What does it tell me? What does a low one mean? What does a high one mean? What's the different theories related to that? And I think a quick read of the textbook is not a bad idea. So I hope you all took something out of this short 20-minute class regarding WACC, and feel free to contact us should you have any other queries. Thank you and good luck with the studies.